Welcome to the Mischief. I'm Valen, and this is Vintage Story, Unearthed for 120. I've taken a little bit of time to try and sort out my food situation. Now, I don't intend on it being just regular soil in the future. Probably going to convert it to like packed earth or something like that, just for the a little bit more finished look, shall we say. But for now, this should do. It is a 7 by 7 by 3 high room. 7 wide, 7 long, etc. If you make it much bigger than this, the cellar will actually not perform quite so well. Also, you need to have it kind of airtight in a way. More importantly, you need to have no access to sunlight. Now, if you use things like sand blocks or things of that nature, it will reduce the ability of keeping your foods and such. And I don't know if you recall, but when I brought this in here before, it was a little bit less than when I had it in that little area there. But now when I look at these things, you can see that they're going to last, like this is 7 days, that's 1.3 years. These are lasting over a year, that's over a year, etc. I don't have enough to last me through a winter or anything, but it can last that long if I don't need it. Now, the thing is, you can also use things like doors or things of that nature to try and gain better access to it. And even by, let's see, if I sit down here and I click on this, you can see 52 days. And this might not even update properly with where I'm at right now. Once I put this block in place, I can try putting it here. I don't know that it will. Yeah, it's still going to say 52 days. But as you notice when I was down there, it was just fine. If I could reopen it again right now, it probably would respect the 1.3 years for those turnips. But you could put something down that doesn't let light through, and that will still work and give you an access. The most common is just going to be a hay bale. But you can also use things like doors. As you can see, there's like solid trap doors and stuff. You just need to take a whole bunch of planks and you can make some. For now, I'm going to try using a bit of hay, just because I think that'll be a little bit easier to work with. There we go. Because all I need is just my bare hands. Whatever tool I have in hand, anything, I can do that, and it should be just fine. In fact, let's see how good of an insulator it is when I look at this now. Yeah, it's still 1.3 years, so it's just fine. It doesn't let any light in. I can pick it up easily and access. It's not quite as convenient as a trapdoor, mind you, but it is a marker and it's going to let me know where things are. I probably will switch to trapdoor later, but for now I think I'm going to stick with this. In the meantime, it's actually a little bit dark to see in here. I took one of the small lights and put it down there so that I have at least some kind of light. But I don't have much for lighting in here that isn't just a torch, and the walls being dark don't exactly lend to that. Anyway, I'm going to make a table, and this is specifically so that I can start making a few other things. One of which I think... Actually, I said I was going to make a table so I could make other things. I was going to make a table so that I could use other things, but there's also things like... There we go. Shelves, which are going to be really useful, for me at least, in sorting through some of my food stocks downstairs. I'm going to want a bunch of those. I do like to have at least one table so that I can work with things, mostly when making pies, which you can make pies in this, but for the moment it's not really going to be that important because I can't make the pies just yet. I need stuff to be able to make those, and for me, I think I'm just going to use this to put a light on at the moment. But I do have those shelves that I wanted to put on the wall. This is going to allow me some measure of putting down those, like these crocks here, the ceramic crocks here, fresh for 7 days. As you can see, we've got an opening that is currently not doing so good. So let's kind of try to do that. And I think it's in my inventory, so yeah, even less. But if I put it on the shelf here, it now says fresh for 18.5 days. And I can even put it on this table if I want, in the center or in any of the 4 corners, and it'll still last 18.5 days. It's fine. Usually I do that for whatever one I have active, and then I can just click on it with an empty bowl. But for the moment, that's all I've got. But I do want to get these crocks out of here, because I don't think that they actually improve at all being in here. Actually, it does 19 days, or is it just the... maybe it does actually improve it a little bit. But it's such a small amount that I'm not too bothered with it. Maybe you guys want to do a little bit more with the storage vessels. I didn't think that actually would affect it, because it's not supposed to as far as I was aware, but hey, little things that you learn. It's not the best lighting source, but again, it's okay. And false light sources, false light sources, if you have a torch or an oil lamp or a lantern or something like that, it shouldn't affect the storability of these things. Like 18.5 days, I put this up here. The light in here doesn't really matter. It's the sunlight that you need to worry about. So you can have light sources in your cellar, and it's not really going to affect anything. I might have to make rammed earth sooner than I thought, but anyway, let's get up out of here. Something I should have shown people before, whoops, I accidentally grabbed some bones here, is that there is an alternative to using the quern. I just find that it doesn't use durability. The quern just runs, and if you don't have it automated, then it is just your time that is being spent. But if you have something like a hammer, did I actually put it in here? I did put it in here. You can just smash the lime up instantly at the cost of durability on your hammer. As I don't have a lot of resources right now, it's something that I don't really want to do, because I feel I'm just going to end up running out of copper before too long, because I think all I have left is these, which is a decent amount, mind you, but still not the best. And here we have a fresh, brand new day with rift activity at calm, but there is a rift there. Again, because it's daytime, you don't need to worry about those too much. Yeah, as you can see, it's already diminishing. It might actually disappear. Yeah, there it goes. Bye. Don't come back. But on the plus side, this stuff is all completed. We now have barrels of weak tannin. We also have some finished product. And you notice here that, actually here, let me escape out of here. When I did each of these before, I did exact amounts on these two, which there's none left. Then I had more lime water than I actually needed for this one. It left the excess in here. I just wanted to show you guys that, so if you did accidentally seal something before, putting in exact amounts or something like that, you don't need to worry about it too much. If you have an excess, you have an excess. It's just that this allowed me to access, access this, the lime water beforehand, if you don't have it in a sealed barrel. But anyway, I have plenty of what I was looking for. Now, by taking these out, I can take my knife and start scraping these hides. Now, this isn't quite as immersive, but it does allow you to process them for the next steps of leather if you want. Either way, this is no longer going to age. You don't need to worry about it going bad. You can even place it on the ground as some kind of decoration. You can even do so with these soaked versions, or the scraped versions, if you want. I mean, that one kind of disappears there, which is kind of neat, but there are options for that, and I'm just letting you know. Now, in the case of small soaked hides, if you have excess amounts of these, like you want to process the medium, the large, maybe even some huge ones for your main leatherworking needs, you can actually convert soaked hides into scraped hides. And then scraped hides can be used to make parchment, which if you craft the scraped hides with some shears, you get parchment, which you can use as labels on here. I'm actually going to do that with one of these, just so that I can have a label and I can show you guys how that works. It's pretty neat. I even have some charcoal that I can use, so let me grab a pair of shears, and I can put this and this together. I now have a sheet of parchment. There are other ways of making parchment, but this is just one of them that I wanted to share with you guys. So for example, I've got sticks in here, flint, oak logs. I don't remember what each one has. Sadly, you can't just put this on the outside of the crate. That would be fantastic if you could. Well, maybe somebody else knows of a way that you can do so without a mod, but currently I don't know of a way that you can do it. So if I take this crate and craft it with the parchment, it then becomes a labeled crate, as which in the little image down here it shows. There it is. It's starting to rotate now. I can now put this down. Same thing with some of the other items, specifically with chests and things like that. You'd have to like craft them with a sign or something. But if I put this down, it now has that label on it. It also will work with like rotations like this. So if I'm standing over here, it'll work on a 45 degree. Let's put the stuff in it that I want. and I now have a bunch of sticks in there. There's nothing on the label, right? Well, if I get a piece of charcoal and put that in there, just grab this, close that up, and I control click. I just took out a piece. I just took out the sticks. My bad. It is now empty. I've done it. That wasn't what I wanted to do. So let's put those in, and if I sneak control, I can write on the outside. If I use something light colored like chalkstone, it will change how it looks. So for example, that actually I think might have written on the back of this or something. But you can also, well, besides that, you can take out the sticks and then the label just wipes off. So if I do decide to put something like sticks back in and then use the chalk, it then shows up a bit brighter and whiter than the this one, the charcoal that I was using. So depending on the pigment you're using, it will be lighter or darker. So that's just something for you to keep in mind. In my case, I think I might actually use the chalk and see how that goes, because I've got so much more of that than I do of the charcoal, which is a much more valuable resource to me. If you use a bunch of it, you have a random chance of using up the pigment item. It doesn't just get used up on one use or anything, usually, but there is a chance of it. So remember when I said I had a thing for barrels? For some reason, I just do. I always need more barrels, and that's specifically what I'm going to do here, because I've got a barrel that has lime water in it, and I want to have 3 barrels for weak tannin, 3 barrels for strong tannin. But at the moment, this is going to take a little bit to work on, so let's open up some of these and see what I can spread this out with. I'm going to need my bucket. Yes, I am continuing to work on leather processing. It's really important to get this going as soon as possible because it takes so long to do, or for the process to actually happen. So if I take a bucket of this, I can put it in here as before, and I'm going to try and make the proper amounts for each of these to go to the next stage. So basically you're soaking it in lime water, you're scraping it, then you're soaking it in weak tannin, then you're soaking it in strong tannin, which I don't have made yet, and then you get leather. That's it. I mean, it's a lot of time, and very, I don't know, sometimes it can be a bit difficult to process that, but I mean, seriously, there's 3 stages: lime water, weak tannin, strong tannin, leather. You know, so leather being the result, not a process. All right, that one is ready with the weak tannin, sealing it. That one is ready, sealing that one. And now let's check out this one here. I've got way more in there than I think I need. Yeah, still. Okay, let's just put in a little bit. It's 2 liters per, and that will get that one. And now I have 2 full barrels of weak tannin and 1 that has a bucket's worth in it, which I think what I'm going to do is process these into, because I had 3 barrels of weak tannin and I didn't even use a full one. I used 40 liters, so I only need about 40 liters of strong tannin. But you know what, I don't care. Strong tannin is a double process, weak tannin is a single process, and for that, I mean, to make weak tannin, you just put water in a barrel, you add 5 logs to 50 liters, and there's weak tannin. But for strong tannin, you need to add another 5 after making the weak tannin to turn it into strong tannin, which will take 24 hours, I think it says on there. There we go. And that says 24 hours. Now, if you look here, though, the weak tannin process for the leather takes 3 days. And then when you process it in the strong tannin later, I think that's like another 4.5 days. So you can see that's like a month or more of video game time. The video game time being 9 days in a month on average, unless you've changed your settings on there. So I do have those being turned into strong tannin, which should be more than enough for this to work with. And I have some leftover barrels. Now you see why I usually like to have a good dozen barrels to work with, just in case and for storage reasons, so that I have some more ready for the next set. And speaking of, if I get any more hides, I'm not going to have any more processing to be able to do in this. I've got like 8 liters of lime water. I've got 10 liters of weak tannin. Ugh. So this is where I end up making more barrels, and then I'll have this stuff ready for when I have the materials. Something else you should know about cellars when down in underneath, you know, wherever you've got your food storage at, is that if you're using wooden walls, it actually is worse. So don't use wood. It's best to use things like stone or some kind of soil that is solid. You know, not like sand or gravel, but things like low fertility soil works just fine. It works the same as if it were packed soil or even rammed earth. But any of those would be just fine. Just try to avoid wood. I did forget to mention that before. Alright, there we go. I now have some water sources on either side. I intend on having like a roof extension coming out, as well as like a little surround. I'll be using extra hides and stuff like that as decoration. I really have this this thing that I've been doing lately that I really enjoy, kind of putting down a bunch of the hides around this it just really enhances it a bit. And then I have a large fenced area that I could probably have just go right over this water block, and it'll probably just disappear. I might even be able to chisel over it with some soil or something like that, and it won't be noticeable. So you'll probably notice at this point that my inventory, it just keeps filling up because I've got more and more access to different tools and items and things like that. There is a progress for increasing your inventory, and you don't have to follow it. As long as you get the materials for it, you can always just get there. But there is a hunter backpack is usually the next step up, as these are 3 slots, this is 4 slots, and it's made simply with a bunch of cattails and some kind of pelt, which you might think, oh Valen, why did you just put all those things in the leather making stuff? They're not pelts anymore. You're right, they're not. I would have to have applied some fat to them in order to make a pelt. So you have to cure an oiled hide, which is the regular raw hide that you start with. Like you freshly kill an animal, you take its hide, and then you apply some fat to it. It starts curing. It takes 48 hours, and then it will turn into a pelt, which then you can use for making some wooden armor, which, as you observed here, I did make some. You can also use it for making fur coats and such like that, as well as a longbow, which is also well worth it, mind you. You can use it here instead of leather, and if you notice, things will cycle through the inventory or the recipes. Unless you hover the mouse over it, then it will stop. It'll stop cycling. So that is something to consider if you want to take a look at stuff. But yeah, you can use just some fat, a pelt, some flax twine, and a dry longbow stave in order to make something like a bow. But then, of course, you also need to make arrows. Anyway, back to this. I could make some of these. I could start making these, and within a couple days, I could have a few more slots if I get a little bit more animal drops. Leather is a bit more important to me at the moment, but that's okay. The next step up from that is considered to be a linen sack, which has 5 inventory slots. That is just a square of linen and a piece of flax twine. We'll get you one of those. Quite often, this is really easy to make if you have access to flax or just cloth in general. Maybe you can trade for it, maybe you find some, maybe you just get a whole lot of seeds and a really good flax crop early on before you're able to even craft past it. But most importantly, the one that I like, and there's 2 versions of this, is the leather backpack. Just for a bit of leather, you make yourself one of these, which gets you 6 storage slots. Now, there is another one beyond that, the sturdy leather backpack, which gets you 8, but in order to make that, it's a very lengthy process and requires you to have access to steel. Either way, I don't have the materials for making any of that stuff, because I pretty much used up all my materials on other things. So sadly, with my 1 money, I really can't buy much. But I do have a bunch of metal scraps, and where is it? I've got a whole lot of cattails that I can use to make rope. So I might just use a bunch of those. I'm not too bothered with converting these into other items just at this time. Let's put these back. I think I am more interested in getting these as, there we go, scrap weapons, so that I can see what kind of goodies I might have. Looks like I'm gonna have to start a big scrap blade collection at this point, because there's so many of them. If I didn't already have a fox blade, I would be overjoyed at having that as a weapon. Oh my gosh, boy, the odds of me getting the same blade every time is very low. Ah, this is actually what I was hoping for, a scrap spear. This is about as good as a copper spear, just not as durable. It's about as good as that. So it is a really nice to have item, specifically for reaching and stabbing things, maybe even a bear that's in a pit that I could potentially get some food and some pelts from and such. Oh, looks like I got a second one, which is even better. I now have multiple spears to work with. This is looking up. This is what I was hoping for, really. And I got a mace. So actually, let's compare. I have the blade here and the mace. So you'll notice the scrap blade, 90 durability. The mace, 200. It only has an attack power of 2 hit points of damage. The other one has 3 hit points of damage. So it's kind of a trade-off. One will last you more than double, but the other one will do more damage in a general. So it is kind of a thing. And it looks like the scrap mace actually has a burn temperature because of that wooden handle. But I think it's time I do a couple things. One is I need to finish tilling the rest of the soil over here in my garden. Because, yeah, I'm going to need to expand soon. At least, I hope I am. Poor little guy. Yeah, he's probably a little confused right now. The other thing is I'm going to go and try and take out that bear that I saw before. And no, I can't till underneath things anymore. I actually have to, like, get rid of the grass. There we go. So now things can start growing a little bit better. At least some of the healing poultice type things might be able to spread out over here. And if I get more seeds, I can start just using the new area instead of having to look at the percentage of the on each different section to see if it's recovered its nutrients yet. Oh, I forgot I had stuff in my boat. I've got 6 more monies plus that ruined sleek door. Ooh, fancy. And of course a Jonas part. Anyway, let's head off to see that bear. So I'm checking out Shift's items for sale at the moment, and it's nothing that I can really afford at 22 gears, but still, a blackguard helm. This is the equivalent of plate mail that you can repair with enough parts and pieces. I don't have that access or that money, so it's something I'll have to pass up. But you could also buy a temporal gear. Yeah, that's right. And you can use these to set your own spawn point just by holding right-click while holding onto one and aiming at the ground. So that's really useful to know for those that are trying to set up a bit further from their original spawn. Looks like I found a pear tree hidden in this little bit of forest. I'm just going to clear away some of the tree leaves nearby so that if it wants to expand, it can, because then you can create cuttings from these, and yeah, you could even expand your orchard. But for now, I just need to clear it away. And here we are at the bear pit, where we've got our bear friend. Ugh, okay, so, ways to deal with this guy. Let's see, I might be able to poke him from a distance by digging down. Let's see, the wall is here, so let's try digging here. Okay, there we go. I've got an opening, so here's the question. Can he reach me at 3 blocks? If I sit down, I can occasionally stab and kind of cheese the bear. Oh, would you look at that? We got some fat, we got some huge rawhide, and we got 13 raw bushmeat. Absolutely spectacular. And a bit of bones. It would seem I found another small cave entrance. Just remember, it never hurts to do a little bit of a peek at the very least. You never know what you might find. Let's have a look at what's down here. Not my best toss in the so far with a torch. Maybe I can toss a little better this time. There we go. Oh, something's moving. Oh, hello. Yeah, I don't really like that. You can stay down there. I'm not interested in coming down to see you. Maybe I just check around some of this easy to find stuff up here. Oh, that doesn't sound good either. Oh gosh. I just need to charge him. That's the key here, is get close by where they can't retreat, and then you can just take them out. And I'll just run around not knowing what to do. Oh, okay. Whew. Bowthorns. Oh, this is looking good. I think I see something. I need a way down, though. Let's do this. This. That also sounded like there was a bowthorn back there. There's a door? Excellent. Oh, and what is this? I see resources. More brown coal. Okay. Oh, I found a crypt. Okay. And my temporal stability has been dropping. A chandelier, and it's intact. Oh, lovely. Let's close the door so I don't get attacked from behind. And I can start looting this place. Because there's also more money. Yoink. An aged log. Oh, I've been looking for this stuff. And this fantastic, pretty storage vessel. Some ceiling chains, but to take those I would need to repair them. The chandelier, on the other hand, doesn't say anything about needing repair. So I am going to grab that and definitely keep it. And this Mr. Curvy Bone Joe is stored here apparently. And if I put down a block, let's see how big. It is a single block. So it's not going to have anything inside. If I came in here with a chisel and hammer, I could probably chunk away sections of this. But then when I undid it, it would just restore it to the full size. But it's still pretty darn cool that this kind of stuff is here. And another aged torch holder. Oh, even better. Oh, okay, it looks like I did this throughout the night. I've been working at it. It's 4 a.m. The sun is just coming up. Yeah, I think I've got more than enough stuff. I need to head home. I've got a little bit of a snack with some of the bear meat that I got. That should keep me sustained for a little bit longer at least. Looks like some of the mushrooms already came back that I was harvesting earlier. This little island I've got marked with a mushroom icon, and I'm finding some more mushrooms already have sprung back up, so maybe they do grow back more than once a year. Okay, apparently I'm still not in a temporally stable enough area. My music has started going a bit off. I'm at 64%, so I think I need to head home for more than one reason now. I'm sure this will be perfectly safe, doing this inside a giant wooden building. While I'm waiting for more of my food to cook up here from that bear encounter, I think I'm going to do a little bit of scything of my cattails. And there we have it. I used up all of my oak logs and then some, plus all of the maple fencing I had, plus a little bit more. And yeah, it's starting to look a little bit better. I still need to chisel this so it's got a gentle slope to it and make that work out a little bit better, but it's looking pretty good. I'm liking where it's going. So next is to do that chiseling I was just talking about. I'm going to keep an extra copper hammer in my inventory so that if this breaks, it will automatically refill itself. But so chiseling. This is where you can lose all of your life to Vintage Story, if you haven't already. So to start chiseling, you just need to have a hammer in your offhand. I did show this a little bit before, but I didn't really go into much detail. And some kind of chisel in your right hand. You can right click, and then it will turn it into a chiselable block. This is, you can't undo this. It is now permanently a chiselable block, and it is no longer considered specifically like a log or an oak log. You can see at the top now says game : block log quad placed oak. Yeah, that needs to be fixed. It's supposed to read something else. But anyway, you can now eliminate things and chisel them away. And you think, oh, well, how do I... Where'd the bits go? Are they just gone forever? No, they're not. They're always there in this space. You just need to right-click on a part of that same block. So if I'm right-clicking here, all I'm doing is turning this into a chiselable block. It's not trying to restore this block contents. So I need to right-click on a space in here, and it will undo and restore what that is. If you want to change the shape on this, you can press the F key, and you can change how big it is. If I go like this, you can see it's a lot smaller. If I choose this, it's even smaller. And I choose this, it's even smaller. You can do very fine detail work with this. It's phenomenal. I'm pretty much just going to be using this largest 8x8x8 size. You can also rotate the block if you want. Just by right-clicking, it will rotate the block. It's fantastic. Then there's flipping it, and you can set a name for it. You can even drop additional blocks and add an extra type. So, for example, if I had, let's say, a dirt block, I could then take it from my inventory, drag it into here, and just click it right there. And then I can choose what I want to chisel. So if I were to take out this section here, and then I wanted to restore that as a different type, like the dirt block, I then would choose the dirt block from here, and then I would right click, and it would restore it as a dirt block section. So you can actually have mixed sections. You can have multiple types of blocks in a single block space. It's phenomenal and wonderful. Oh, and you can spend so much time with it. So anyway, I'm going to be doing a lot of chiseling, and I'll be back when I'm done. Now, the other thing is it does have to be a full block. You can't chisel something like this fence. No, you can't. And if you chisel a block too small and there's water up against it, the water will start penetrating through it. If you use a chiselable block also as some kind of like exterior for like a cellar, you might have problems with that as well. It'll consider it like a breathable block, and then you'll lose insulation and so on. So just be aware of those kind of complications that might pop up. All right, I think this will do. I mean, I could probably chisel things up a little bit inside. Actually, yeah, why not? I think I might. Well, that'll work. Now, I do want to run some support beams like across the ceiling and stuff like that to make it look a little bit more immersive and such. But I figure for now, this will probably have to do, especially since I'm running out of light, and I'm also running out of materials. So there is also a few other variants you can make, and that consists of things like debarked wood, where you can take an axe and a hammer to an oak log, and, well, any log for that, most logs for that matter. You can do that and make it debarked, and then it'll have just like an underlying texture. But then to further that, you can take a saw. Let's remove these from my crafting grid. Put that on here, and you can make something like support beams. I do have some, and this is 12 blocks of length is what that equates to in this case. So I could have this running all the way across and so on. If you want to make something look a bit more sturdy, you could probably like grab here and drag it down. I'm just right clicking in place and giving it a bit sturdier of a look so that it fits better in my aesthetic that I have in my mind. I could also have it running across the entire length at the front, but I only have 6 left, so that's not really going to work for what I have in mind. But I can make a little bit more. I think I'm down to my last log at this point, and it's also, I'm quickly losing light, but I should be able to now combine these together and make a good stretch of this across the entire length of the front surface. There we go. And if you want to find where it is that these are, don't hold the support beam when you're looking. If you look at it, you need to find like a little bounding box here. I'm actually going to zoom in on it so you can see that there's a bounding box. That's what you would cut, and it's going to be at the end that you started at. If there is something else in the way, like a chiseled block or another block or something like that, you'll have to keep that in mind, that might be blocking visibility to it. Could cause some issues, etc. But you can use it for a lot of different things. You can even go diagonal and stuff. It's really crazy, the options that you have. And just to get things to line up more along the way that I want them to, I'm going to start, let's say, here, and try making a straight-ish line across the entire roof. I think that's about right. There we go. So now it looks like it's got kind of an internal support as well, holding up these logs that are currently kind of like half cut, because it gives a little bit more height in the back section there. And it makes the whole thing look a little sturdier as well. And with that, I think we'll pause and end it here for this episode. Tune in next time for the continuation of Vintage Story Unearthed for 120.